Aurora.com/free.
The new NFL season kicks off in a little over an hour in Kansas City, where the Chiefs host the Ravens. ESPN's Sam Acho.
The Baltimore Ravens just signed Derrick Henry, who was the NFL's rushing leader a few years back. Last year, he was second in the NFL in rushes, only behind Christian McCaffrey. So I'm watching the Houston Texans as a team that could be on the rise. This New York Jets defense has been dominant. Defensively, the last year, they were 4th overall in yards allowed.
Chiefs are two-time defending Super Bowl champs. There's a video circulating online of a shakedown at a suburban Denver apartment complex, but the community's pushing back.
The video purports to show armed men banging on doors and shaking down tenants at the edge at Lowry Apartments in Aurora. But residents insist the complex has not been taken over.
There's nobody in there who is asking us for money other than the owner. We've not had any issues with security.
But Aurora Mayor Mike Hoffman insists
there have been some violent incidents at the property.
And Aurora police say 10 documented members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua have been arrested for crimes in that neighborhood. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
The average on a 30-year mortgage is holding steady at 6.3%, according to mortgage buyer Freddie Mac. Later this month, it is expected that the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates. Verizon is buying Frontier Communications in a $20 billion deal. Verizon says the acquisition will strengthen its fiber optic network and help in areas of artificial intelligence. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
Into the 5 o'clock hour, I'm Will Feelright in for Bill Walter with your KVNU News Update. It's brought to you this hour by Firehouse Subs that brings you our weekly Above and Beyond Salute winner. Well, as many as 3 black bears were reported over the summer at Porcupine Reservoir in the Cinnamon Creek campground area. Now, that campground is owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. DWR spokeswoman Faith Jolly said that back on the evening of August 6th, they received a report of a bear in the campground by Porcupine Reservoir. Now, a family had reported that the bear had walked into their campground around 7 p.m. as they were cooking dinner. The family jumped into their car, and the bear didn't leave until they started honking the car's horn. Now, biologists responded to the area on the evening of August 6th. They installed a dumpster trap and 2 trail cameras to try to catch the bear. Now, they were able to find fresh tracks, but the bear was never trapped. Now, they believe that there was likely about 3 bears that were passing through the area. Biologists have not seen any sighting of the bears since August 8th. Now, DWR is reminding campers that it is crucial to keep campsites clean to avoid attracting bears, which can create a dangerous situation for both bears and people. Well, coming up in just a minute, a father and local legislator want to try to help children pay their lunch money debt. We'll get to that story on the way in just a minute. As overall, a nice day today as the smoke has gradually cleared throughout the day as temperatures have been in the high 80s today. Tonight, we're going to drop into the low 50s, then be back into the high 80s for tomorrow, low 90s coming for Saturday, and then a small chance we could see a little bit of rain on Sunday. And Quality First Insurance brings you our weather on the 6s. Remember, insuring your business can be frustrating, and that's why you want Matt Robbins on your side. Give him a call for all of your insurance questions, 752-0101. Well, a father has been paying off school lunch debt with his own money, and a Utah lawmaker now agrees that the state needs to do more in coming up with a long-term solution for school lunch debt. Governor Spencer Cox earlier this week announced a $1.2 million grant for schools to apply for lunch debt relief, but it only will cover a portion of the nearly $3 million owed statewide. Now, some advocates see the new grant money as being just a temporary fix, calling for a more permanent solution. DJ Bracken, who is the founder of the Utah Lunch Debt Relief Foundation, said that to him, it is personal. He recalls a story about a 4th grader who came to school in tears, too worried to ask for lunch because they believe there wasn't enough money in their account. Now, Bracken paid off the entire lunch debt for Bluffdale Elementary out of his own pocket and then later founded the Utah Lunch Debt Relief Foundation to raise money to help pay off the rest of the state's growing lunch debt. Now, in the last few months, Bracken said his nonprofit has raised more than $12,000 to pay off school lunch debt. Meanwhile, Representative Dan Johnson from here in Cache Valley, a retired educator, believes there needs to be a more permanent solution. Now, when asked how the state could eliminate lunch debt and prevent it from piling up again, Johnson said that the Appropriations Committee needs to examine potential funding solutions. Johnson, who retires from the legislature in December, is hoping to initiate a study on the issue before the next legislative session. And a man has been charged now with multiple violent crimes after being accused of shooting another man inside a vehicle after an argument in Midvale. Back on August 14th, Maxwell Archibald of Taylorsville allegedly fired a handgun at a passenger that he was in a vehicle with outside a gas station, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Now, officers with the Unified Police Department responded to the scene and learned that the shooting victim was with two friends, the owner of the vehicle and Archibald. Now, according to the victim, the owner of the vehicle and Archibald had gotten into an argument over who was going to drive. The victim told officers that he intervened and a physical altercation broke out between him and Archibald, at which point Archibald brandished a handgun, fired once, missing the victim, and then firing again and striking him in the arm. Now, the victim and the owner of the vehicle reportedly fled, and Archibald drove off in the vehicle, later crashing it and being arrested. Well, you can get more on these and other stories at CacheValleyDaily.com. In for Bill Walter, I'm Will Feelright. The KVNU For the People Show is coming up next.
Roof Rescue is your local roof specialist, dedicated to keeping your home safe and dry no matter the weather. Their team of experienced roofers is here to serve you, providing top-quality service at affordable prices. From minor repairs to complete roof replacements, they've got you covered. Remember, your roof is your first line of defense in protecting your family from the elements. So don't wait until the next storm to discover your roof problems. Call Roof Rescue today at 435-999-4268. They're your trusted local roofing experts, here to keep your home safe and dry. Roof Rescue, celebrating 10 years of providing watertight peace of mind.
News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Whether you weld it, drill it, or bolt it, whatever type of metal project you're working on, make sure you buy your metal products from Palmer's Metal Mart. With locations in Lehigh and Logan, you are never too far from amazing deals on all types of metal products. Steel tubing and pipe, metal roofing and siding, rebar, angle iron, sheet metal, aluminum, and stainless steel. You will love the selection and price at Palmer's Metal Mart. For over 31 years, Palmer's Metal Mart has been the source for metal projects big or small. Get into Palmer's Metal Mart today and take advantage of all the amazing deals this spring. Huge discounts on tubing and pipe, 15% discount on all in-stock metal roofing panels. You will love the selection. If you can't haul what you need, let Metal Mart deliver your product to you. We could give you our phone number now, but do you really have a pen and paper handy? So, look us up. Palmer's Metal Mart in Lehigh and Logan. Everyone's metal store. See you soon.
The Above and Beyond Salute.
Hello.
Kathy, good morning. My name is Will Feelright. We thought you could use free lunch. How's that?
Great. It's kind of unique to be recognized, so I appreciate it.
We team up with Firehouse Subs every week to recognize people in our community. And this week, we wanted to recognize you as being the director of Fast Forward Charter High School's Special Ed Department.
Well, thank you so much.
The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs on News Talk KVNU.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, hour 2 of today's show. It is Thursday, September 5th. I'm Jason Williams. Coming up, ballot language has been made public on the 4th. You heard me right. 4th proposed constitutional amendment on your ballot this November. We'll talk about how the language reads, what you'll see on your ballot, and why critics are calling it, a couple of Democrats and a couple of Republicans in the state House and Senate calling it deceptive, despite the fact that language was written by the Senate President and Speaker of the House. So fireworks is what I'm saying on Capitol Hill this week over this ballot language. We'll talk about it coming up later on in the hour. To start things off here, though, far more pleasant things to begin the hour. We are joined by President and CEO of the Cash Chamber of Commerce, Jamie Andrus. And Jamie, appreciate you taking some time to join us here on the show today. I know that there are always a million things on the calendar. I'm not sure what you want to start with, but welcome. And how's your summer going? It's been a busy one for you guys.
It's so great to be on, Jason. Thank you for having me. It has been a busy summer. We are starting our fall where we have a lot of events. 1 week from tomorrow will be our Patriot Day invitational golf tournament.
That's right.
And it's coming up. We do have, I believe, 1 to 2 teams left that we could squeeze in if anyone's interested. Our sponsors and host sponsorships are full, and we're very excited that we're going to be making a donation in honor of Patriot Day 9/11 to the League, the Marine Corps League Auxiliary. This year, our funding's going to them, and so we're excited about that donation. There's a lot of great things going on this year around 9/11, so we're excited to be part of that week.
Sure. Yes, we were talking about the Cache Valley Remembers event with the Brent Taylor Foundation setting this up in northern Utah, or northern part of the valley, North Logan to be specific. And that coincides with this patriotic and fun golf tournament. So for listeners, if you're interested in registering, by the way, or any of the events we're about to discuss here with Jamie on the line, the Patriot Day Invitational Golf Tournament, September 13th. You can register for one of those remaining spots for a team, cashchamber.com. And Jamie, while I was there, I was just kind of looking ahead to see, what we hadn't gotten to yet when we spoke last month for the calendar. And there's always new things added. And I just wanted to quickly, we don't have to spend the entire time on this, but I have a personal curiosity on this. What can you tell us about the guest speaker for the September 11th networking lunch for the Women in Business Luncheon? This is someone named Kylie Ann Mon. And
that's correct.
I read a bit of her biography, and she has quite an amazing story.
She has a great story, Jason, and she has actually been a speaker before. She has a business. She's just one of those really terrific young entrepreneurs. She's really found a really great topic that she's going to be talking about, going all in and empowering and designing your business, how to take risks. I'm excited to hear her. I heard her before when she spoke, and she's very engaging. So please sign up for Women in Business. That I think the registration probably closes Monday or Tuesday next week. So jump on and join us for Women in Business.
This one is intriguing. For listeners, I'll link to it on our Facebook page from the cashchamber.com website. But yeah, Kylie Ann has run for going on 14 years now. She's run a business out of her home and backyard. And raised kids at the same time. Had a success with this business for 14 years almost. And she's going to be talking about not being afraid to take risks. I don't know. That's just such a cool thing, because I think every person, even if they've been in business 25 years or 35 years, runs into that, right? And this is a good example of what the Chamber is all about.
Yeah. That's exactly right. We try to make sure that we have something for everyone, and we have our regular monthly events, Women in Business, always the second week on Wednesday. It's now been moved to the country club because we were holding Women in Business at Adams Wealth, and we've outgrown this space. So we're excited about that. So just a reminder, it will be at the country club next week on Wednesday. And then the following Tuesday, will be our regular leadership lunch. It's our monthly chamber lunch. We're excited. We're going to be doing a Meet the Candidates. It is that time of year.
Yeah.
Jason, as you well know, and I'm sure you're on top of it, and you've been interviewing some of these great folks that are running for office.
I always say, Jamie, say it's that time of year for better or worse. That's what that's my. No, I'm kidding. I love this because the chamber is giving anyone who attends the leadership luncheon on the September 17th. This is just an open forum to sit and chit-chat with the candidates, right?
Yeah, we're going to have we were originally going to do it more kind of like a debate where we ask questions and give them time, but not every candidate and their opponent have their schedules just wouldn't allow them to be there all together. So we're allowing each candidate who shows up, which, we know in advance who we've invited and who will be able to attend, to actually just stand up and tell a little bit about themselves, their office that they're running for, and then maybe their platform, what they hope to accomplish. And they'll be there for the networking half hour, and then afterwards to take some questions as well. We're also having an interesting group of folks called the Utah Global Diplomacy Group as our sponsor, and we'll be by invitation only having a roundtable with those folks after the leadership lunch. So we're excited about that special day.
That is very cool. This is as you plan these leadership luncheons, I'm just curious, Jamie, do you have, is there an ongoing theme or particular thread that you're following with these, or do you try to just do something new at each luncheon to make sure you cover all the bases?
We try to do that, Jason. Some of it becomes seasonal. When it becomes time for open enrollment, we're thinking about businesses. So coming up toward the end of the year, we always have something around employee benefits and insurance. We try to intermix leadership topics for small and large businesses. We try to think about what the resources are, and then of course we get approached by groups, something similar to the Utah Diplomacy Group. So sometimes it's that. So we do try to plan it with a theme, or of course leading and being a business resource as the theme running through, or the thread.
That is very nice. This is. I say this all the time when I speak with people in business, or when I talk with you here on the show, that so many people have this. In fact, I started the show with this. A lot of times when people think statewide Chamber of Commerce, for example, known as the Salt Lake Chamber of Commerce, but as the statewide chamber, or even the National Chamber of Commerce, I always tell people your local Chamber of Commerce is very different. This is for you. Because I think a lot of people hear Chamber of Commerce and they think, that's for someone who's running a business with 500 employees. I've got 2 or none. No, the local Chamber of Commerce is for that business owner, right? That business owner with 2 employees or 0 employees.
That is correct. And let me say that we are very connected to our statewide Salt Lake Chamber, and we're members of the U.S. Chamber. So we're connecting you as a small business or a local business to the statewide issues, as well as our national issues. I just did a sign-on with the U.S. Chamber, a sign-on letter. It's going to legislators for, particular business issues. So we do it all, but we are your local connection, and we do have the resources for you to help you.
Sure. In fact, the Cass Chamber of Commerce offers something called a Leadership Institute that I think is a great example of this. Now, they cover all kinds of things from, internal policies you might want to learn more about for your place of work, your business location, when it comes to, human resource issues or skills on interviewing employees and things like that. So they're practical, very functional applications, but they also have legislative affairs and government relations courses as part of this Leadership Institute. And Jamie, I forget when this happens, but I know there is also a day on Capitol Hill where, as a member of the Chamber of Commerce, you get to head up as a group and actually sit and talk with lawmakers in the middle of that 45-day general session, right?
That's correct. So our Leadership Institute is a leadership development program that is a cohort, so meaning the folks that sign up, the 20 to 30 people who sign up, meet once a month on a Friday. That's the second Friday. It starts on September the 20th this year because of the golf tournament. So the third, but generally we are on the second Friday, with the exception of the day we go to the Hill, to the legislature in February. We try to give all kinds of information to people who want to develop their leadership skills. But what makes us different, Jason, is that our Leadership Institute also teaches and helps business owners and leaders become leaders in our community. So we learn about the county government as well as our state government. We spend a day at our hospitals. We bring in the guest CEOs from our local businesses. We have a special day that we usually spend at Space Dynamics Lab, which ends with a tour. So the Leadership Institute is almost full. We're almost to the deadline, but we do have a couple of spaces left. If you're interested in that, please check it out on our website.
Absolutely, and so many reasons to be a part of this, not just the educational and hands-on and in-person opportunities you get, but also an opportunity to learn and pick up some skills that normally you would pay a lot for.
That's true.
It is a very cheap way to get some of these skills, so I highly recommend it. And again, as Jamie mentioned, the next a couple of events they have on the 11th, the Women in Business Luncheon. Links to that on our Facebook page, but also all of this can be found at cashchamberofcommerce.com. And then shortly after that, the Patriot Day Invitational, Friday, September 13th at the Logan River Golf Course. Still room for a team or two to sign up for that Patriot Day Invitational. This is a benefit for local veterans organizations, and there is even a spot where you can nominate a potential beneficiary of the funds from this year's Invitational in 2024 to an organization that you think deserves to receive them, a veterans org. So all of that, again, at cashchamber.com. Jamie, it's always a pleasure to have you join us here on the show, and I know that we got to about a 10% of what's on the calendar, but maybe we can do some catching up next month?
Let's do it.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jason.
Oh, very much appreciate you making the time, and we'll talk to you in October.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a great day.
You too, Jamie. Thank you. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in again. One more time, cashchamber.com for more on everything we just discussed. But if you are thinking about starting a business, have started a business, or in your first year and stressed out, I know how that feels. If you are 5, 10, 15, 20 years in, and this applies to anyone in the business world, big or small business. And as we just discussed, some really irreplaceable resources available through the Chamber. Take advantage. It's literally right in your backyard. And we'll be back with more of KVN News for the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
This is County Executive David Zook inviting you to join us for a powerful tribute. Cache Valley remembers the 9/11 Project. After the 9/11 attacks, we all promised that we would never forget. This event is one way we can keep that promise. It's also a way we can help the next generation to learn what we learned, that after 9/11, our country united. Join us at the Hanson Family Sports Complex in North Logan from September 11th to 14th, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. as we honor the memories of September 11th. Experience an immersive timeline, unite in remembrance, and explore career opportunities with the police, fire, and military agencies that will be at the event. It's a free community event to reflect, learn, and serve. Let's stand together in the spirit of unity to keep our promise to remember. For more information, visit CacheValleyRemembers.com. That's CacheValleyRemembers.com.
This is Dr. Red, chiropractic physician with Red River Health and Wellness. Are you suffering with fatigue, brain fog, headaches, intestinal issues, weight gain, and you haven't been able to find any answers?
Before I started at Red River, I was having a lot of stomach pain. I was overweight, severe anxiety, some depression. I had been to multiple doctors. I'd been to specialists. We had done tests, and no one could find anything that was wrong.
Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
I'm on anxiety medicine. I've lowered my dose, and I'm working with my doctor to continue to lower it. I'm sleeping through the night. I have energy for my kids. I've lost 30 pounds. I just feel really good.
Our goal is to teach you and educate you so you know how to manage your condition a lot more effectively, and you know what to do and what not to do for the rest of your life.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
Are you a homeowner looking for peace of mind and affordable insurance coverage? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance, an Alera Group company. As an independent auto owner's insurance agency, we have access to multiple insurance carriers and will give you options. Our agents will work to ensure you get the policy that suits your needs. From protecting your personal belongings to dwelling coverage, Quality First has you covered. Call us today for a quote. 435-752-0101.
Utah's at a crossroads. The surging economy of the last decade is not today's reality. Cache Valley is feeling the effects of rising housing costs, stagnant wages, and skyrocketing energy prices. This is not acceptable, and I know we can do better. I'm Jason Thompson, and as a successful business owner, proven job creator, and experienced city mayor, I know what it takes to ensure that Utah is heading in the right direction. But I can't do it alone. I need your vote this November. At electjasonThompson.com, learn how together we can keep Utah heading in the right direction.
Paid for by the committee to elect Jason Thompson. The Aggies are heading to USC to face the Trojans Saturday afternoon.
The Nate Dreiling era at Utah State begins with a W.
KVNU is your home for the best game coverage with pregame at 7, kickoff at 9, and postgame and Aggie call immediately after the game. It's the Aggies and the Trojans.
We're going to have a chance. If we continue to fight, it's going to be a fun season. So we'll see you in LA. Looking forward to it.
Saturday on News Talk KVNU, the heritage home for the Aggies.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. We got a bit off the clock there, going along with our guest, Jamie Andrus. Well worth it, though. The Chamber always has a lot going on. And like I said, we probably only got to about 10% of what's on their calendar. You can see the whole thing, though, at cashchamber.com. And again, the two nearest events on September 11th, there is a Women in Business luncheon with a local business owner. She's run a international brand photography company out of her home and backyard for 14 years now. She's very successful. You've probably heard her name. If you haven't, you'll recognize some of the products she's photographed for their ads and commercials and things like that. But she also has been a full-time mom of 2 kids. She has been just a really busy person. She'll be speaking next Wednesday at the Cache Chamber Women in Business Luncheon about not being afraid. The topic of her speech is actually go all in, which is easier said than done usually, but good stuff. So cashchamber.com again for that. Also, Jamie mentioning there that on the 14th, the Patriot Day Invitational, a fundraising golf tournament to generate money for local veterans organizations. There, she said, are still, she believes, she knows one, maybe two spots open for a team of 5 if you'd like to compete in that Patriot Day Invitational a week from this weekend, cashchamber.com. So, coming up on the other side of the news, the ballot language is out for what will be called Amendment D. This has already generated a critical response campaign, which is using the hashtag on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok of D is for deception, or I've also seen D is for deceit. And that's a theme that has lawmakers a bit panicked. In fact, a couple of lawmakers telling the Deseret News just today they think they might have stepped in it with not only Amendment D, but the other 3 constitutional amendments they've proposed on one single ballot. Yes, Amendment D is the constitutional amendment dealing directly with what I've called the legislature throwing a temper tantrum because the state Supreme Court told them no, and they don't like to be told no, so they would like you to give up one of your rights enshrined in the Constitution and instead hand it to them. But to get you to do that, well, the Senate President and Speaker of House, who get to write these ballot language paragraphs that show up on the ballot now, after they made that change to the state code back in March. This used to be written by a nonpartisan legislative advisory group of legislative attorneys, basically. Back in March, a bill was passed to give the Speaker of the House and the Senate President the authority to write ballot language for ballots and constitutional amendments that they vote on and put on the ballot. Well, there's 4 of them this year. This is the first one to be written by the Senate President and the Speaker of the House. And, well, I'll put it this way. Even a Republican lawmaker had this to say. Conservative Representative Marcia Judkins from Provo, upon seeing the ballot language when it was released yesterday, tweeted this: "You have got to be kidding me. This is dishonest." That's a member of their own caucus responding that way. Well, today, it appears the light bulb may have come on. Lawmakers are worried they may have, again, stepped in it a bit with this latest ballot amendment. We'll talk about what the language says and why it's getting this response, even from their Republican colleagues on the Hill, right after this look at the news. With KVN News, Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. The news this hour is brought to you by Roof Rescue. Cache County Attorney Taylor Sorensen is offering no apology for the unusual circumstance of county officials funding a private lawsuit against local citizens with tax dollars. Sorensen acknowledged that some may disagree, but the county council has broad latitude in what they decide is the county's business. He claimed that this was a question of workplace safety and is a completely legitimate purpose for spending tax dollars. Now, Sorensen's statement earlier this week came in response to a letter to the editor by Joe Saxton of Smithfield. Now, in that letter, Saxton had questioned the ethics of the county allocating $20,000 to bankroll a private lawsuit on behalf of 2 county employees who are suing community members for libel and slander. Now, according to court documents, the Cache County employees bringing the lawsuit are victim advocates Terrell Warner and Tanya Ryan. The defendants in the suit, which alleges slander, libel, and defamation, are Aaron Bennett and Sarah Dawn Bacomba Hernandez. Now, the lawsuit was filed in the First Judicial District Court in Logan back in late April, but the county entered into a contract with Hapworth and Associates, a law firm in Bountiful, back in late February to provide services for a defamation suit. The lawsuit alleges that its defendants have engaged in a campaign of stalking, harassment, defamation, and threats against its plaintiffs, including allegations of sex trafficking. The lawsuit is seeking $500,000 in damages as well as punitive charges. Well, meanwhile, officials with the National Park Service say that $3 billion was contributed to Utah's economy last year due to national park tourism. A press release said that 15.7 million people visited Utah's national parks last year, resulting in over 26,507 jobs. Now, NPS Director Chuck Sams said that he was proud that the country's national parks had created stories of lasting impact for more than 300 million visitors, and he was even more proud to see those visitors making positive impacts of their own by supporting local economies and jobs in every state in the country. There are 13 national parks, of course, in the Beehive State. And a woman and 3 young children in West Haven were found dead in their vehicle earlier this week, and all 4 had sustained gunshot wounds, according to police. Authorities responded to a 911 call Tuesday night from a resident who had reported discovering the scene upon returning home. Now, responding officers found the bodies of a 32-year-old woman and 3 children, a 4-year-old boy, a 2-year-old girl, and a 1-year-old girl. Now, the Weber County Sheriff's Office confirmed that all 4 victims had been shot. They're now investigating. Well, it's going to remain mostly clear through the rest of the evening, still with a little bit of smoke and haze, but thankfully that has cleared up a lot over the last 12 hours. As we head into tonight, temperatures going to be down in the low 50s. Tomorrow we'll be back into the high 80s. Same kind of forecast for Saturday with a little warmer weather in the low 90s before we'll see a chance of some showers on Sunday. I'm Will Feelwright, in for Bill Walter with your KVNU News Update.
ABC News, I'm Daria Albinger. President Biden's son Hunter pleads guilty to federal tax charges.
Hunter put his family first today, and it was a brave and loving thing for him to do.
His attorney, Abby Lowell, Hunter Biden now faces up to 17 years in prison and up to $1 million in fines. The 14-year-old student charged in yesterday's deadly school shooting in Winder, Georgia, has been charged with 4 counts of felony murder. The State Bureau of Investigation says additional charges are expected. Evacuations for several Akron, Ohio neighborhoods following a fire and explosion at a chemical plant. A man accused of randomly shooting at vehicles on a Seattle freeway has been charged with 5 counts of assault. Eric Perkins is accused of injuring 6 people, 1 critically. Bring on the endless shrimp. A bankruptcy judge says Red Lobster can end Chapter 11. This is ABC News.
It's been a crazy few months with big rainstorms fueling the weeds in your lawn, garden, or empty lot, and the spiders coming inside to beat the heat. You need help. Let Logan Extermination take care of those pesky weeds and unwanted pests with an exterior lawn application and interior treatment for bugs. Call Logan Extermination today before your home becomes enemy territory. Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Weed control starts at $45. Interior spider spray starts at $95.
The Cache Valley Latino Festival is coming to Logan Center Street September 14th, and you're invited. The celebration begins at 11 a.m. with a parade. Enjoy music and live performances throughout the day. Mouth-watering food trucks and vendors offering handmade crafts. It's a celebration of Latin American heritage and culture that everyone can enjoy. So bring your family and friends and let's celebrate. The Latino Festival is sponsored by Members First Credit Union. Large enough to provide the services you need, small enough to provide the services you deserve. Gosner Foods. The straws are back on Gosner Milk. Pick up some high-quality dairy products at the Gosner Food Store. Anderson Seed and Garden and Logan Extermination, keeping you green during the summer and in the holiday spirit in the winter. Presto Products, now hiring. Apply for a career today at Presto Products in Lewiston. And Connect Public Transit, formerly CBTD, connecting you with the people and places that matter most. Find your route at rideconnectutah.gov. The Cache Valley Latino Festival, September 14th on Center Street in Logan, where culture and community come together.
Join us at the Nora Eccles Harrison Museum of Art on Saturday, September 7th at 5 p.m. for a special event. We'll start with a free screening of Paño Arte, Images from the Inside, a documentary about Chicano prison art. After the film, there will be conversation with the curator and other experts. Then enjoy a reception with music and refreshments as you explore the Arte Paño exhibition, showcasing over 70 artworks by Latin artists from the American penal system. This event is free and open to all. For more details, visit artmuseum.usu.edu.
September is National Honey Month, and to celebrate, Cox Honeyland has local Cache Valley honey on sale. Bring in your own jar to refill or snag one of their 12-pound or 24-pound containers. It's also time to make room for fall merchandise. Their fall-summer clearance sale at Cox Honeyland is underway. Save up to 50% off all summer merchandise, including the spinners. Their fun gift store is full of decor, treats, and more. That's Cox Honeyland and Gifts, 1780 South, Highway 89, Logan.
At Truck Ranch, our goal is to find you the perfect truck.
Hear what customers are saying about Truck Ranch. Just tell us real quick why you chose Truck Ranch.
Well, I had a friend who bought a truck here. I've been looking for a truck. They had a few trucks I really liked, but, they weren't pushy. I would just say they were helpful, really.
Tell us about your truck.
This is a Ford Super Duty. I went with this because I really like how Truck Ranch upgraded it with the wheels and tires. I wanted the 10-speed diesel, and so, yeah.
So you recommend Truck Ranch?
Oh, definitely. They made it so easy.
Better service, better prices, better trucks. TruckRanch.com.
Hey, Cache Valley, it's Bo Peterson with Steel Coated Epoxy Floors, and we're thrilled to announce that we've been voted the best in Northern Utah once again. As Cache Valley's premier coating professionals, we have the knowledge and the experience to completely transform your concrete. From garages and shops to porches and patios, we coat it all. And with fall and winter right around the corner, it's time to get your concrete protected. Contact us today at scfcachevalley.com. That's scfcachevalley.com. Steel Coated Epoxy Floors. Do it once, do it right.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Coming up, I'll make my weekly for the. I've restricted myself to only doing this for a month leading up to the Latino Festival, but for a month leading up to, I've done my weekly plug for why you should get your butt out there. This is so. My reasons for promoting this are, and full disclosure, we are sponsors, the Cache Valley Media Group, but that's not why I'm not. They're not asking me to say this. The Latino Festival is two things to me. It is a really fun festival, a great way to spend a Saturday, and it is the most amazing example of what downtown Logan can be when you close Center Street. This is the other hill I will die on. The first one being physical median on Main Street, Logan, from about Center Street to 14th North at least. But we'll have that discussion another day. We're going to be talking about constitutional amendments. Why? Because there are 4 of them on your ballot. Yeah. The legislature has... I don't know how to say this and at the same time be objective and truthful. Because the truth is... there are 4 constitutional amendments on your ballot this fall, all proposed by the Utah legislature. That's the only way a constitutional amendment can get on the ballot, is if lawmakers think it should be there and they vote on it and a majority of them agree. The public isn't even involved in this. And there are 4 of them on your ballot this fall. And to put that in a broader perspective, that comes after every 2 years for the past 6, them asking to amend our own constitution via the ballot. So that's a lot of constitutional amending. So that's my first point on this one. But and to be fair, not all of these get the ire that 2 of them are going to get here today as we talk about the language that was released this week. One of them, for example, is, well, I mean, I'm indifferent on this one because this is this constitutional amendment. It's Amendment C, I think. We're going to be talking mainly about A and D, the 2 that I think everybody should send a message and vote against. But the constitutional amendment C, for example, this was kind of a popular political movement a couple of years ago, actually, and it caught on here in Utah late, as things do here in Utah sometimes. But it's writing into the Constitution something that is already statute and is already done here in Utah, and it's done with the people who back this say there could come a day where people want to do it differently, and we should make sure they can. And it relates to how we elect sheriffs. It basically says that in Utah, sheriffs will be elected by the people in an election. There will never be a time in Utah, if this amendment passes, there will never be a time when sheriffs are appointed, for example. Fine. I'm indifferent on that one. I think it's redundant and unnecessary, and doesn't require a constitutional amendment because it's already written into election code here in Utah that's how sheriffs are made. That's where sheriffs come from, is elections where people vote. But if people want to write that into the Constitution, fine. No problem with that. My problem here, again, mainly, is these are 4 proposed constitutional amendments on one ballot, and they follow a series every 2 years of lawmakers wanting us to amend the Constitution. I think that's too much. We're doing it too often and too easy, and the only way to get the legislature's attention so they stop doing this is to kill them all this fall. Every constitutional amendment, vote no. If they all fail, lawmakers will be like, okay, the public is sick of us doing this, and they'll stop. And sometimes you've got to, like a dog that won't stop wetting on the carpet. Okay, that was unfair. But funny, you have to admit. You sometimes have to punish your elected officials and say, stop it. And so I hope voters do that this fall. But again, if they only do it on 2, A and D, I'll be satisfied. If you want to vote for C, and B is, kind of indifferent on that one too, although B, I can see where it's come from. But we're going to talk about A and D here. So A, really quickly to get it out of the way, because most of the information that's come out this week is on the ballot language of Constitutional Amendment D. So A is the legislature asking for more power. Specifically in this case, they want you to undo a more than 100-year-old constitutional provision that ties their hands a bit on how they can spend money. And they realize they can't ask you to do that because that sounds bad, right? We would like more flexibility on how to spend money, but the state constitution won't give it to us. Will you amend the Constitution to give it to us? They realize that they're hard time selling that. So what they do is they throw on this sweetener. It's like, what if we did this, but we also repealed the state's portion of the sales tax on food, which, by the way, is a tiny portion, 2%. And also is something they could do via legislation in the general session coming up in January. No constitutional amendment to give them more power needed. It's cynical, it's unfortunate, and I wish they'd stop doing it. They call them sweeteners. But what it is really is a deceptive tactic to get you to vote for something they really want by offering you a little token of something they think you want. So don't fall for it. With Amendment D, it gets even worse. In fact, Amendment D's language, as released this week, written by the Senate President Stuart Adams and House Speaker Mike Schultz, is grotesque. And it is leading to one of the most consistent, sustained, and organized backlashes I have seen in Utah since 2011's backlash against the legislature trying to make their communications private during the legislative session. When they were having lunch with lobbyists, they didn't want you to see that or know what they were talking about or who they met with. And so in 2011, a bill was sponsored with good intentions, but it was a horribly drafted bill, and it led to a backlash. And I haven't seen anything like that until now in response to the language that was released this week, written by the Senate President and the Speaker of the House, which led to a conservative Republican in Provo, Representative Marcia Judkins, responding on Twitter to the ballot language with this. Representative Marcia Judkins, Republican from Provo, after seeing the ballot language written by basically her boss, Speaker of the House, tweeted, "You have got to be kidding me. This is dishonest." Well, 24 hours later, lawmakers are having a bit of buyer's remorse on this one. They think they might have opened a can of worms that they might regret. We'll talk about what the language unveiled this week says and why it's getting this response from the public after this.
The trusted team at Blue Sky. Remember, Blue Sky is that same great ARS team you know and trust.
This is Tom with Blue Sky Restoration. When disaster strikes, whether it's a flood, fire, mold damage, or an unforeseen accident, Blue Sky will clean up, repair, and restore your home or business like it was before. No disaster is too big or too small. For all your restoration needs, you can trust our Blue Sky team.
Bank of Utah says thank you. Thanks to those who voted for Bank of Utah in the Best of Northern Utah contest, their third gold medal in a row for Best Bank in Northern Utah. Whether you need a personal checking or savings account, need to finance your dream business, auto or home, or are looking for wealth management or investment services, Bank of Utah is your bank. Find out how Bank of Utah can serve you by going to bankofutah.com. Member FDIC and MLS number 422914.
A big thank you from Spring Hill Suites by Marriott Logan. We're the proud silver winner for hotels in the 2024 Best of Northern Utah. We owe it all to our fantastic community.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Ballot language for Amendment D passed or approved in a rushed, quote-unquote, emergency session 2 weeks ago by state lawmakers in response to the Supreme Court of the state telling them no. How dare the court? They rushed this emergency session, rushed a bill that wasn't unveiled 24 hours in advance before the emergency session, so people didn't have the adequate time to actually
covering all
read
the
it
news
and respond to it. And yet, here they are, unveiling this legislation or this language this week, and it running into immediate public backlash to the extent that today, 24 hours after the language was really processed by the public, lawmakers are exhibiting some buyer's remorse. A few lawmakers saying they believe this might actually cost some of them in competitive districts their reelection, with a potential 5-point swing away from any lawmaker who voted for placing this on the ballot. Now, I don't know if I believe that because there aren't a lot of competitive districts in Utah at all. But I do believe that this amendment is going down. And it may take the other three that lawmakers have proposed for the ballot this fall, constitutional amendments, with them. And I say good riddance because it'll send a message if they all fail. Now, it'll send a message if even one fails. But imagine if every constitutional amendment is shot down by voters, lawmakers will realize they have taken this amending the Constitution thing too far for the last 12 years. They've done this repeatedly. It's too much. So what exactly is getting people angry today? Well, as one Republican said of the House Speaker's written language for the ballot this fall, Representative Marcia Judkins, a conservative Republican from Provo, responded to the ballot language with a tweet that simply said, "You have got to be kidding me. This is dishonest." Former House Speaker Greg Hughes even acknowledged that they, quote, took some liberties with how to word this ballot language. At issue in the ballot language, is the implication that if you approve the constitutional amendment, Amendment D, it will shore up the voter-led ballot initiative process, which it actually does the opposite. It also says it would include a provision that lawmakers would have to pass, not part of the constitutional amendment, just a promise to pass it in the future, that they would leave voter-led ballot initiatives alone for at least a year for the following session, the legislative session right after it was approved by voters. They wouldn't touch it. But then the following year, they'd repeal it. That's what's at the heart of this. They repealed the voter-led initiative creating an independent redistricting commission. They just ignored it entirely. That was challenged in court, and the state Supreme Court told lawmakers, you can't do that. If you're going to do that, it needs to meet strict scrutiny, constitutional review, which means the state has to be able to prove there was a compelling state interest for ignoring the will of the voters. That's all the court said. Very reasonable check on legislative power. The legislature lost its ever-loving mind, and we had this emergency session. Now we've got this ballot initiative that is basically misleading voters. And the response to it has been swift, very swift. The question on the ballot will basically be, should the Utah Constitution be changed to strengthen the initiative process by prohibiting foreign influence on the ballot, initiatives, and referendums process, which no one knows how they would do that or what they even mean, and clarifying the voters' and legislative bodies' ability to amend laws. That is deceptive. I would go so far as to say dishonest. And Republican lawmaker from Provo, Marcia Judkins, agrees with me. So does Senator Nate Thatcher. So does former Speaker of the House, Greg Hughes. This is falling apart on legislative leadership. AARP Utah out today with results of a poll following up on a previous poll in which they found that 75% of the state believes the voter-led ballot initiative process needs to be protected. It is a check on legislative power, and if the legislature is ignoring or getting siloed and unresponsive to the wishes of voters, they should be able to use this. And I agree, though I also add it should be hard and difficult to do because direct democracy is an ugly thing if left unchecked as well. You need balances. You need checks. The voters shouldn't have too much power. That's why we have a representative system. But the representatives shouldn't have too much power. That's why we have an executive and a judicial and a voter-led initiative process to keep the legislature honest and on its toes. All of them working together, things work great. What's happened here in Utah is the legislature has gutted the executive. They are attempting now, because they're mad, to gut the judiciary after the state Supreme Court ruling, and they're trying to fool voters with Amendment D into giving up their own rights and handing them over to the legislature. Every lawmaker right now would tell you this is a safe thing to do. But no lawmaker right now knows who's going to be in office 10 years from now, 15 years, 20 years from now. But they're literally asking us to undo the checks in the system with Amendment D, and they're basically lying to us about why with this ballot language. I have never seen anything like this. If you can't make the case, being honest with voters, Stuart Adams and Mike Schultz, Speaker of the House and Senate President, you have no business asking voters to do this in the first place. Be honest with them. I have faith in Utah voters. They can figure it out. They can handle the truth. And I think what's happening now is lawmakers have gotten out over their skis. And the reality of that is starting to set in, and they're a bit worried, and good. This is a shameful thing to see. It's sad when I, a loud, obnoxious radio host, have more respect for the legislative process here in Utah, as slow and clunky as it can be, than the Speaker of the House or the Senate President, who displayed their lack of respect